Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Becoming You podcast. I am currently quarantining at the moment in my house, in my guest bedroom, because I have been battling the vid for the last 4 days. So if my voice is kind of crackly and coming in and out, I apologize for the sound quality. But work goes on, and plus, what else do I have to do when I'm in my room with no parenting duties, no housekeeping duties, nothing, right? So, today's episode, we're going to be talking about the value in having a routine and when to know to drop a routine. When I first started out in the personal development journey and my healing journey, I looked to routines. Like I read about the 5 a.m. club. I mean, every, self-help guru you look up, the really big mainstream ones, right? Like Brendan Burchard, Mel Robbins, um, like maybe not so much Gabrielle Bernstein, but a lot of the mainstream, what I would say more masculine oriented, not male or female, but masculine energy, right? More on the masculine energy side about the doing. Um, those gurus and self help leaders tout routine to be like the be all and the end all. And there's nothing wrong with that. Routines are wonderful. And so I wanted to kind of dig a little deeper as to when are routines helpful? When should we start one? And when is it time to let go or change things up? Okay. So when I first started, I feel like I'm going around in a circle right now. I thought a routine would solve all my problems. I was like, I just need to get up and do these 6 things. If you have never heard of, I think it's called a morning miracle. And there are these 6 steps. Each one you have to do for 10 minutes. And so it's like a whole hour in the morning, right? And I thought, oh, if I just do that for like 6 months, my life trajectory is going to completely change and I'm going to have all of this success. But what I found was that I would start these different routines, and pretty soon, like I would give up on them. There would be one morning where I just would not be able to get out of bed. And and then like I'd feel really guilty and ashamed and I think I'm so weak, right? If you've ever been in that boat, raise your hand. Like I can't really see you, but if you're driving, keep your hands on the steering wheel. But just nod, right? If you are someone who has really started a routine and then just haven't been able to keep up with it, and then you've just skipped it one day, 2 days, before you know it a couple of weeks has gone by, and then you feel so much like shame and guilt and you think that's why my life sucks, because I just can't commit and I can't stick to anything. So that is a sure sign that that routine is not for you. Okay? So routines are wonderful when you're trying to start a new habit or trying to change certain aspects of your life. But if you start to feel guilty and ashamed or embarrassed um, because you feel like you're broken because you can't keep up with it, then just know that it's not you that's broken. The routine is not right for you. Anytime not doing a routine makes you feel ashamed and judge and hate yourself, it's not the routine, it's you. Sorry, the other way around. Excuse me. It's not you, it's the routine. Okay, so it's time to drop that routine and try something else. Because at that point, what you're doing is you start to believe that the routine holds the secret magical power to create this perfect version of you and to help you create this perfect life. First of all, there is no such thing as perfect. There is no perfect version of you, and there is no perfect life for you to create. Um, Second of all, the routine does not hold any magic. Okay? The magic is actually you, right? But the routine actually helps you build belief in yourself. And the routine is just the bridge from lack of belief to self belief. So routines are simply habits that help you change your state, the state of mind, the state of your feelings. That's really what routine is. So if the routine or not having done the routine is making you feel worse and is making your state worse, then it's not right for you. Okay. And then for some people, this is another way you know whether routine is time to drop it or not. For some people, routines just simply don't work, right? We're all made differently. We're all very unique. And what works for one person won't work for you. And again, it doesn't mean that you are broken. It just means you need to embrace your uniqueness and find what works for you. So oftentimes, we listen to these really successful people and decide that because, they did this morning miracle, that's what catapulted them to success. So we really try to fit ourselves into a box and we think, well, if it worked for them, it worked for me. And what we fail to do is apply any sort of context to what's happened, right? We don't look at, does this person have kids or not? Is this person the same gender as me? A lot of times, getting up at like 5 in the morning to do 1 hour worth of routine is really hard for a mom versus maybe for a guy, it's not as hard, right? Like, I'm not throwing shade at men, but when it comes to societal expectations, cultural expectations, when you're a mom, your kids just need you more than they need the dad, right? That is just a matter of life. And women carry a whole lot more of the housework load, even though that's not the case right now with me being quarantined and my husband doing all the housework and his actual job and looking after the kids. But, all things being normal, I tend to do a little bit more of the housework and looking after the kids. And if my husband was a morning person, he's probably more likely to, he'll have the time in the morning to get up and do this morning routine. So what I'm saying is we often ignore the context and we just look at the results and we think, well, I should be able to do that. But we don't take into consideration, like, is my life and this person's life comparable? Is it doable? Is it practical? Where do they live? What kind of a living environment do they have? So take into context. If you are hell-bent on doing a routine and you are beating yourself up on, well, that person did it and became successful, why can't I? Look at their lived experiences, right? They will swear up and down that this is the only routine that works because it worked for them. Therein, the key word is, right, it worked for them and you are not them. So give yourself grace if you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to live by a particular routine. A routine is something that you want to do that helps you create a better life for yourself, right? And it shouldn't be something that you are doing because you're afraid that if you don't do it, you are failing at life. Does that make sense? There's actually a very subtle difference between the two. When I first started trying out different routines, I was terrified of not being successful. So I was doing these routines from a place of fear and lack and not feeling enough. And I thought these routines are the magical formula, the magical pill that I need to take to get me to where I am, right? So I was actually doing it from a motivation of fear. But what you want to be doing is creating a routine that is getting you to a closer version of you or a better version of you from yesterday, right? Are you creating this routine because you are moving away from something, or are you creating this routine because you're moving towards something? Now, you might be thinking, well, that's one and the same thing. It is actually not. There is a difference because the energy and the intention attached to these are very, very different, and therefore the result that you get will actually be different. Okay? So when I started doing breath work, um, I was very drawn. It was a deep desire in wanting to explore my body, in wanting to explore my sensations, in wanting to release things in my unconscious and my subconscious through breath work, right? And I really looked forward to all my classes, showing up for the live breathwork sessions, and still to this day, I don't do it every day, but I turn up for probably 4 to 6 very long breathwork sessions a month, right? So that's on average 1 to 2 a week. And so I don't do these breathwork sessions because I'm scared that if I don't do them, I'm going to revert back to my old self. I do them because I'm constantly moving towards a freer version of me, right? When I do breath work, that's really what it feels like. I become more and more free in my body and with my thoughts and feelings. And I feel more in my body, which makes me feel more free. So when I do breath work, it's not from a place of fear of, oh my God, if I don't do it, I'm going to not be able to do something in life or not able to achieve something. I do it because I'm being pulled to a version of me that I desire, right? So when I don't do it, but I'm not as regular and I'm not doing it every day, the old me would have felt shame because I would have felt like I was failing by not doing the routine. But the new me, like, just accepts it. Like, I do it when it feels good because I know it's serving me. And I do it when the timing feels right, when I'm open to the experience. I'm not forcing and shaming myself to do it because it's not some just checkbox, right? For a lot of us, a routine becomes a to-do list, and there's a sense of achievement that comes from ticking off all the things, and it makes us feel more productive, right? And I believe that that is a wrong reason to have a routine. If a routine is making you feel more productive, is giving you a sense of productivity, and therefore it's making you feel better, I believe it's the wrong reason, because then when you don't do it, you don't feel as productive, you feel lazy, you feel like you failed, and it makes you feel worse. So I think, again, I always tell all my clients and you guys on the podcast, everything I say is my opinion, right? You don't have to take everything as, um, like, I don't know, you don't have to take anything as fact. Run everything that I say through your own lived experiences and decide for yourself what feels right. But hey, if a routine makes you feel really productive and it leaves you feeling good, great. But for me, when I realized that I was leaning on routines to help me feel more productive, like I've done more in a day, and when, like, it was good on the days that I got them done, but on the days I didn't get it done, I felt really crap about myself. And that's when I started to feel like, why am I putting all this pressure on myself and adding even more things on my list to make me feel good in a day, right? Like, I was addicted already, and that was part of the problem, was that I couldn't feel good unless I thought I did all of these things, right? In a day, in a week, in a month, etc. And to add a routine to that, I just felt like I was compounding the issue. Um, so use routines as a way to figure out how to make life more enjoyable for you. Which routines, when you do, leaves you feeling better about yourself and you are appreciative that you took the time to do that, right? Um, for instance, like, one of my routines is practicing my piano. Would I like to do it every single day? Of course, because then my progress will be much faster. But I don't shame myself for not doing it every day. Instead, I observe, like, how does it make me feel when I do it because I want to do it, not because I should be doing it, right? When I finish practicing the piano, on days that I haven't shamed myself, I haven't forced myself, and I haven't should myself, I actually spend longer doing the practice, right? I might spend 20 to 30 minutes. But when I shame myself saying, oh, you haven't practiced in a few days like you really should, I'll do the cursory 10 minutes and I'll get out of there, right? So make sure that you are asking yourself, when I'm doing this routine, is it leaving me feeling better than when I first started it? Or are you clinging to a routine because it gives you the feeling of control and predictability to your life? A lot of us stick to routines. And I'm not just talking about habits, right? Routines could be like every Sunday you, I don't know, like you volunteer somewhere that you've been doing for years, or your mother used to volunteer somewhere and you went as a kid with her, and now like it's just become part of your Sunday routine. And you never even question it. Like you just keep doing it, right? Because it gives you a sense of predictability, and it makes you feel like you're in control of your life. One of the biggest benefits, but can also be a downside, of a routine is that it makes us feel in control. We know what's coming next, right? So it makes us feel in control. But we also cling to routines or habits. This could be things that are helpful to you and not helpful to you. We tend to cling to things that might not be helpful any longer because it's become so predictable and because it makes us feel in control, right? So it is okay to decide to try something for a short while. There are a lot of things that I start out and that I don't stick to long term. And I used to beat myself up about that. And now I just think, who cares? Like, really, who cares? So I started face yoga a while ago, a few months ago, and I was really, really into it, and I was doing it every day. And then probably for like the last month, I haven't done it. And I haven't been consistent. Well, not even consistent. Like I just haven't done it flat out, right? Um, so I could shame myself and be like, well, that's one more routine you try to have. Now you're not doing it. Like that doesn't serve anybody. Um, and instead, I could just be like, who cares? I tried it. I liked it for when I did it. And now it's not a priority. Maybe I'll come back to it, right? Maybe things will change and I'll come back to it. But right now, it's not a priority, and that's okay. So allow for flexibility in your routines. If it's something that's really rigid and tight, and there's no spaciousness there, again, the intention is very different, right? And anytime your intention doesn't leave for space and flexibility and expansion and freedom, the results are very different. One will have huge results, and one will have very little or no results at all. So if you're wondering, why is my routine not working, or you're not really enjoying a routine anymore, or you are feeling shame about having dropped a routine or not having a routine, give yourself the freedom to examine, like, why do I want to create this routine, right? Is it because I'm trying to move away from something, or is it because I'm trying to move towards something? Which is the more, what's the word I'm looking for? Which is the more, not heavy, but the higher priority, right? What is pulling me more here? Is it the running away from something, or is it the moving towards something? And so give yourself the freedom to create routines that work for you. And it's okay to not have a routine at all for a while, to cut it all out and take a break completely so that you can come back to creating a new routine from scratch, putting in things one by one piece at a time, trying it out, seeing how it feels before adding another piece. All right. I love you guys so much. Today's was a short and sweet episode. And I would love to hear from you in my DMs if there are topics that you would like for me to cover on future episodes. My well, I'll be honest, is running a little bit dry for ideas on what to talk about in upcoming episodes. So if there is a topic or a question that you would love for me to talk about, I would love to hear from you on my DMs. All right, guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.